Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Elizabeth with LA's Handcrafted Jewelry, and today I'm going to be sharing how to create this adorable little pendant using a small round cabochon. It only requires a couple of gauges of wire and the basic jewelry tools you use every day in wire wrapping. But before we get started, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. Now let's jump in. For materials and tools, you're going to need a ruler, three 6-inch segments of 20 gauge wire, 28 gauge round wire for weaving, a 12mm round cabochon, chain nose pliers, round nose pliers, and flush cutters. Now to get started, I've already marked the center of my wire, which is at the 3-inch mark, and I'm just going to start by making sure that my wires are parallel to one another. And then I'll grab my weaving wire and then I'll go ahead and start weaving together my 3 base wires. Now I'm going to begin by wrapping the weaving wire around the bottom base wire 3 times. I'm going to bring it up and around the bottom 2 base wires 1 time. Make sure that they sit nicely together. And then I'm going to bring that wire in between those 2 bottom base wires. And then around the top 2 base wires 1 time. And then in between those 2 to wrap it around the top base wire 1 time. And this is called the modified sumac weave, and this is what we're going to use to secure all the wires together. And now bringing it from behind, we're going to wrap it 1 time around the bottom base wire, and then bring it up and wrap it around the bottom 2 base wires again, and then in between those 2 wires, and up and around the top 2 base wires, then in between, and then around the top again. And we're going to do this a total of 3 more times to make 5 rotations around the base wires. Now once we've woven those together, I'm just going to compress the weave slightly with my chain nose pliers. And then I'm going to wrap the weaving wire around the bottom base wire 3 more times to secure the weave. And then I'll trim off the excess by doing a little pull and twist method. You can also use your flush cutters for this. Now I'm going to begin coiling around the middle base wire here. So I'm going to take my weaving wire and bring it down. And then I'm going to go ahead and start the coiling by wrapping it around 1 time. And we're just going to do this for about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. Now once I've coiled both sides, a total of 3¼ inches, I'm going to go ahead and bring this down, and I'm going to begin using the stone to kind of help me create the frame. So holding it against the surface, whatever surface, and then using your fingers to gently wrap it around to create the frame. And this will be very fiddly, so just take your time with it. You can also use a dowel that's about the same diameter if that's easier for you. And this is where the stone should sit. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and take my pliers and bend the wires straight up, and they should all be parallel to one another. And it's going to be bent up right where the coil ends. Now I'm just going to stick my stone in there and just make sure that it's still fitting properly. And now I'm going to grab my weaving wire again, and I'm going to wrap it around the back base wire on my right side, and I'm going to wrap it around 3 times to start. Now I'm going to begin wrapping the weaving wire around all of the wires, just making sure that they kind of sit nicely together. We don't want to make them crisscross too much. And so we're going to wrap around a total of 3 times to bind those wires together. just making sure they're sitting nice together. This will be a little bit more difficult with round wire than square, but you can do a fairly decent job if you just hold it carefully with your fingers. Now to secure the weave, I'm going to go ahead and bring it around to the front and wrap it around this top base wire here. And I'm going to basically begin another modified sumac weave, but using the front 2 wires. And so we're going to wrap around this wire here first to start the weave, making sure that they are sitting nicely together. They should be parallel. And I've just set the other wires behind a little bit so they're out of the way. Wrapping it around both wires. I'm going to bring in between and around the top wire and down and around the bottom base wire 1 time. Then I'm going to wrap it around both base wires 1 time. And then I'm going to bring it around the top base wire 1 time. And then around the bottom base wire 1 time. And we're just going to go ahead and continue this weave until we reach about 3/4 of an inch to an inch. And then we will create our bail. So I've woven a little over an inch. I'm going to go ahead and complete my sumac weave by wrapping it around the bottom base wire 3 times, and then a little pull and twist. Pull that off, and that completes our weave. And now I'm going to pull the wires apart. I'm actually going to pull 3 wires to my right and 1 to the left. And then I'm going to bend the bail portion over the back, so over the top of those wires. And then I'm going to direct those remaining base wires there from the weave. I'm going to direct them through the frame and use those pieces to secure it to the frame. So I'm pulling them apart a little bit like so, and then bringing them back. And then I'm going to trim off the excess wire, and then I'm going to make sure that they're nice and snug against the frame with my chain nose pliers. Once I've completed that, I'm going to go ahead and carefully bend the front of the frame. Kind of nicked it a little bit with my pliers, but I'm going to use my finger to kind of hold that there a little bit and then create a little prong so that way we can stick our stone in there. And just using my chain nose pliers to kind of angle that a little bit more so that way there's plenty of surface area. Doing the same on the opposite side. And once I've finished fiddling with it, I'm going to go ahead and grab my stone and stick it in there. Carefully, making sure that doesn't pop out through the front, making sure that there's enough surface area there. And as you can see, I'm kind of moving the prongs forward a little bit since this has a rounded top on it. Making sure that those are nice and neat. Sorry, I am a perfectionist, so I have to do that. So now that it's sitting where it belongs, I'm going to go ahead and now do the back. And you can have a little bit more angled back there so that way there's plenty of backing for the stone to sit in. I'm just going to repeat that on the opposite side. This is where the pendant should be at this point. And now I'm going to grab the bottom base wire here on the right, using my thumb to kind of create a curve, and then using my index finger to kind of help guide it. And then I'm going to go ahead and wrap this around through the back, and I'm going to bring this through the frame and secure it to the frame. once we've secured that wire, the middle base wire goes next. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and grab my weaving wire and create another coil similar to the frame there. And this is a little bit of an easier way to do it. And you just wrap it around the top and coil it around the top. It's a little bit faster this way. And then once you've coiled a little ways, you can actually just slide the coil down to the bottom of the base wire. Now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and slide the coil down to the bottom of my little base wire here. And at this point, you can also do a pull and twist method to take off that excess wire before you move on, or use your flush cutters. Now once I get the coil where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and carefully begin following the first base wire with my coiled wire. But as you can see, I have a little bit more ways to go, so I'm going to go ahead and just continue coiling until I make up that ground. I'm just going to go ahead and continue following that wire and then bringing it over to the side like so. And then I'm going to bring that back also, but before I do, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more coilage, if that's even a word. And then once I kind of get as much as on there as I need, I'm going to go ahead and do a little pull and twist to get that off. Now I'm going to trim the wire just a little bit, and then I'm going to bring the rest of it through the frame using my chain nose pliers. And once I've secured that second base wire to the frame, I'm going to go ahead and follow that same base wire with my third base wire on the right. And I'm going to secure it to the frame the same way I did the previous wire. Now last but not least, we're going to take this one remaining wire and we're just going to curve it a little bit underneath, so it's kind of a little above center from the rest of the wires, and bring it around and secure it just like we did with the previous wires. Just making some final adjustments. And here's your finished pendant. I hope that you all enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions or just want to share your work, you're welcome to join our Facebook group. There's a lot of fun going on over there, lots of sharing and encouraging one another. Also, you can check out my Etsy site. Currently, all of my written tutorials are over there. So all the links are in the description below if you want to check those out. But before you go, hit the like button if you enjoyed the tutorial, and don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy these videos. And until we meet next time, have a great day.